Hello and welcome to this episode of Talking About Rock, sponsored by School of Rock, North Buffalo. I'm Rob Edwards. On today's show, we have for you another superstore from the 80s. Originally formed by Steve Plunkett on vocals and Steve Lynch on guitar, with Randy Rand on bass and Kenny Richards on drums, the group's inspiration for the band's name came after hearing the Def Leppard song Photograph. Hence the band Autograph was born. This band, on the power of their 1983 debut, which was remastered by Andy Johns, who had produced bands such as Humble Pie, Free, and Rod Stewart, had not yet been signed to a major label. However, after playing the demo for David Lee Roth, he invited the band to open for Van Halen on their 1984 tour, playing 48 shows before they were signed to a contract with RCA following their performance at Madison Square Gardens. The debut album, Sign In Please, produced the major hit Turn Up the Radio, achieving gold status of 500,000 copies sold. Also, the fretboard tapping from guitarist Steve Lynch won him a Guitar Solo of the Year for Guitar Player magazine in 1985. A second album, That's the Stuff, was recorded and released in fall of '85, and the group went on tour with Motley Crue and Heart. Sales were not as strong as the previous album, but still achieved near gold status. The band's third album, Loud and Clear, released in spring of 1987, saw music videos featuring guest appearances from Ozzy Osbourne and Vince Neil of Motley Crue as extras. And they also made 3 appearances on MTV's Headbangers Ball. Then in '88, the band left RCA to pursue other options. After tours with Aerosmith, Dio, Bryan Adams, and Whitesnake, they disbanded in '89. Then in 2013, Steve Lynch and Randy Rand reunited with Kenny Richards. With Steve Plunkett not being interested, they replaced him with Simon Daniels, who they had discovered on YouTube and immediately sensed he was the right fit for the band, taking over lead vocals. In 2015, Richards was replaced by Mark Whelan. And the band played Monsters of Rock, the M3 Rock Festival, Firefest UK, and other fairs and festivals. In 2015, they released the single, You Are Us, We Are You, and followed that up with a second single on April 21st, I Lost My Mind in America. In 2017, they released Get Off Your Ass and hit number 21 on the Billboard Classic Rock chart sales with 2 top 10 singles. In 2019, Lynch decided to leave and was replaced by Jimmy Bells from House of Lords. Then on April 26, 2022, it was announced bassist Randy Rand had died at 71. He had just delivered the master recordings and told the band to make sure the album was released before he passed. Now we speak with Simon Daniels from Autograph, next, here on Talking About Rock. Hello, Simon. Hey, welcome to the show, man. Great to have you here with us.
Great being there with you.
Excellent, excellent. So I wanted to go a little bit through your history a little bit, kind of let everyone know. So going back a little ways, you moved from Brazil to LA in '85 at kind of a friend's insistence, like, come out here for a couple months and just see what's going on here. And then things started happening from there. You were making connections and meeting people. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I kind of already had a feeling that, because I grew up in, I'm first generation from migrants from Europe in Brazil. So I grew up with different languages in my house, and I have traveled before. So I had an opportunity to come in '85, and I had a feeling that I was just going to come to stay because I loved everything about my experience in the past and the music. And what I predicted happened. When I got here, I was overwhelmed with excitement, and the rest is history.
Yeah, there was a lot going on at that time, right? And I guess you ran into the manager for a band. They were looking for a singer for Agent X with Billy DeVette, right?
Yes, I was actually. He came later, but it's basically I was just looking for to start something, and then I connected with this manager. Formed a band was called Agent X, and then Billy was in the band, and It was a good situation to get to know Hollywood, to play some of the clubs, and get acquainted with the whole new scene. And the scene was exploding at that time.
Right, right. There's all kinds of stuff going on there in the 80s. Crazy. I was out there for a little while myself. Yeah. And then you moved on to another project. You had a band called Jailhouse in the
Yeah.
mid 90s. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about Jailhouse.
Um, Jailhouse ended up being actually a merger of three members of the band Rough Gut, that had two albums prior with Warner Brothers, and the guitar player I was working with, and me. So it became a five-piece, and we toured quite a bit. We did three videos. We were in the Headbangers Ball at the time, which was with Ricky Rackman.
Right, right. Back in the day, right?
We were we were like really big in the Hollywood scene at that time. I actually experienced everything that you could have imagined from that era. We did some touring, and then we put out a record by Restless Records. It came out, and it was a live album recorded at the Roxy called "Alive in a Mad World." Did pretty well, and then we got signed to Enigma, but then Enigma was let go by Capitol, and that's kind of like a long story. So it ran its course, and
right. Lots of changes going on, right?
Yeah, I moved on. The '90s came in; it just changed a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and then you moved on to some other projects. I think you were in a band called Flood for a little while as well, also.
Yes, and then in the mid '90s, was signed by Interscope with a band Flood, and we made an incredible record produced by Bob Marlette, and we were signed by Ted Fields, which was the owner of Interscope. Was just starting at that time, but it was a complicated era. The record company, we were there for 4 years. It was a very good experience, and it also ran its course.
Right, right. So then you kind of came around full circle, and you went and did get a Jailhouse reunion show, and you guys were asked, I guess, to join the Monsters of Rock cruise in 2013. That kind of started you on the next path, really, right?
That's exactly what happened. So there was this idea of doing a reunion, because Monsters of Rock is kind of like, they bring these bands from the '80s and stuff, and then we were invited by Larry Moran. Larry Moran is the one who puts this together, and he was our tour manager back in the days of Jailhouse. So we remained friends, and he said, "Hey, well, you guys want to do a reunion?" Yeah, sure. So we went there. We played a couple of shows. Actually, not the full lineup, but there was a guitar player that didn't go, and I took on the guitar for that situation, and then it was fun. And then when I came back a month or two later, I got a call from the guys from Autograph.
Right. And I guess what I've read, they saw your video on YouTube, and they said, "This is the guy we need to talk to. Looks like the right fit for us." So
it's a combination of what I heard was a combination of that, and also the fact that one of their friends saw us on that cruise. So and obviously put out a good word, but we already had mutual friends. We were in the same
right
in
the same circles. Yeah.
Yeah, so it wasn't like, well, nobody knows who that is. It's just like, but we communicated, and it clicked right in.
And did they know they wanted to start writing a new record right away when you joined? They said, "Hey, we want to put together a project," or that was kind of still?
No, they didn't want to. The idea was to sort of like reform a new version of the band, because it was going to be different anyway. The original keyboard player passed away 5 years prior.
Right.
They didn't want to have the keyboards in the band. But by the way, nobody knows this, but the last year that they were together, the original lineup, they got rid of the keyboard player because Plunkett wanted to have a guitar set, but that didn't go too well, and then they were kind of at the end of their run. But
right.
2013, they said, let's just do something that sound a little harder, more guitar oriented. We keep the essence of everything, the melodies, the harmonies, the riffs, the uplifting party vibe of the rock and roll band. And but we realized you're not going to sound like the other singer, and that this is going to be something. So I said, well, okay, well, that's cool, because I didn't want to just get into something to simulate something else. And I like that style of music a lot. I was a big fan of the band. And they said, no, that's exactly what we're looking for. We're all different people, and let's bring the songs that we used to play. So for 2 years we toured, including going to England too for the first time, because they never went out of the country.
So how was that first time playing out in some of those gigs? Did you think it was going to be a little difficult being in front of the fans, being the new guy and new face of the band?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't, I realized that it's always, from people's perspectives, to understand something, when they're used to something else, is just a human thing. But as far as how I always felt good about it, because we had really good chemistry on stage. And I could say that literally in the half of the first song, we got them all in the palm of our hands.
Excellent. I know that's got to be the hardest job, right? To kind of replace the face of the band and a new singer. That's got to be probably the toughest job. You can swap out a bass player and a drummer, but I think that switching out the singer is always the toughest part. But you're also the rhythm guitarist for the band as well.
Yes, and with just talking about what you just said right now, I don't know any bands that still have, original members from that era.
True. Very true.
I don't know one. Maybe you can say Motley Crue, but they also had the guy who left and came back, whatever. But other than that, well, we all change. It's 35 years, a long time. Nobody looks the same. Nobody sounds the same. Sometimes the fans forget that they were not what they used to be. But I want to point out that he was asked first.
Yeah, I read that. They asked Steve, and he said he was too busy or not interested. Basically, those two things came out.
So it was more like it fell on my lap.
Right. Right opportunity at the right time. You guys got together. So then after you played out some, then you went into the studio and started writing for Beyond?
No. We've been doing this since 2013. So we toured a lot. In 2016, we put out an EP that was #1 on iTunes because it was independently
put out. Right. Yes, you did have, and you had those singles. That's right. Yes. I was reading on that. Yeah.
And then in 2017, we put out an album by David Ellefson's label that he had at the time, EMP. That did really well. We had that album went #21 on the hard rock sales of Billboard.
Yeah, that was Get Off Your Ass. Yeah, hit 21. Yeah. Yep, that was great. Yep.
So there was, we already had new music, and then we decided to just kind of put out singles because the physical albums era was, kind of like diminishing, and it seemed to make more sense. We put out a song called Souls on Fire that it's easily found that was actually a charity for nurses and frontline workers from the pandemic, and then we were continuing with the idea of doing singles, and then Frontiers Records called and said, "You guys want to make a full album?" And yeah, of course. And then so we just jumped in, and there were about 2.5 weeks of writing. Some stuff was already, sort of like put together. That the majority was all new,
right?
But there were like about 20 songs, and we recorded like 15, and we selected 12 of the ones that we thought were the best.
Yep.
It was very effortless. We recorded here in LA at our drummer's house because he's a recording engineer with credits. So it was very convenient because of the.
Yeah. So is that the time before or in 2019? I guess Steve Lynch decided to leave, right? He was replaced by Jimmy Bells from House of Lords for you guys, right?
I think it was 2018.
2018.
Yeah, or 29th. Yeah, he decided to leave because he claimed he wanted to do a different kind of music, more instrumental, progressive, mature, kind of far away from rock and roll. As he started feeling like this was kind of, I don't know. And then there were other reasons, but so he, unfortunately, at the time he left us, but we were already a very good unit with Randy. And Randy's been he was my best friend for the last 9 years of my life. We had a very, very deep relationship as friends, much more than just a guy in the band. And obviously he stayed, we were having fun and touring. And then Jimmy is another thing that fell on our lap because we didn't even think about talking to anybody. He just called 2 days later, say, "Hey, I already learned 3 songs for you guys."
Yeah,
And
yeah. Well, I really love the new track. I was really blown away by it. This Ain't the Place I Want to Be. You know, you put it on and that's an autograph sound right away, kicking you in the teeth on the first track. I love that. You know, you guys
that was the idea.
just put it out there right away. It's a really tight track. It's like you said, it's rock and roll. Let's get going. We're not screwing around. We're not putting a slow song on here. It's like boom, drop the needle, and we're rock and rolling right out of the gate. I love that. You know?
Cool, thank you. And it was exactly that, because as you know, the song starts with this guitar solo with the tapping in, and then that whole thing. If you listen to that on headphones, it's beautiful stereo that happens with the guitars, and then high energy, big vocals, everything, and that's how the whole album is. You know, I think it's a great album, and people should really get it. By the way, you can go to autographband.net and pre-order it.
Excellent. Yeah, I've been checking out the tracks that Frontier sent me, and I really dig it. But definitely the first song is the standout track for sure that I've heard. So I want to take a quick pause here, and we're going to play that for the folks here. This is This Ain't the Place I Want to Be from Autograph. It'll be out November 18th, their Beyond album. We'll be right back here on Talking About Rock with more from Simon Daniels in a moment. All right, we're back here on Talking About Rock with Simon Daniels from Autograph. Just checked out the new track From Beyond there. Great stuff, man. Like I said, you drop the needle on this, it just punches you right away. That was Autograph sound to me in the day. It was just boom. It was rock and roll, and I love it. I really like the new album. I've got to, listen to all the tracks. So folks really need to check it out. I'm loving it. And you got some great dates coming up. I was looking through. You got October 29th. You're playing at the Whiskey in West Hollywood with Hurricane and Dead West.
We have before that coming up. Actually, this Saturday.
Oh, okay.
This Saturday we're playing Sacramento with Quiet Riot.
Oh, nice. They were just here in Buffalo. Yeah, I just caught them. Yeah, that's great. That'll be a great show. Excellent. Yeah, I was just looking through your dates like on the site and all these were popping out and stuff.
They're coming. We're doing the Whiskey, and then we're doing the Key West in January, and then we have cruises next year. It's all building up because the record's coming out, and we're getting very strong momentum. Did you get to see the video, the new video?
Yeah. We just played actually the video for that track for the show. This Ain't the Place I Want to Be, and it's definitely got to be a bittersweet thing here. You guys record a new project. Like you were saying, you've had a great friendship with Randy, and at the end of this, from what I was reading from the PR firm, he gave the masters to the studio. He's like, you guys got to make sure this gets out, and then he passed. It's got to be like a bittersweet thing for sure.
Everything was done, including the artwork and the title Beyond was something that he, by the way, was one of the people who voted on. It sounds like something we came up with afterwards, but no, it was all done. And then he went on a trip to New Orleans, and then just had a cardiac arrest, and that was terrible, and then that's what happened. But yeah, he's a little older than us, and we had many conversations, but he put all his soul and his energy and his love into this record, and you listen to the record, and the bass tone is fantastic, his playing is fantastic, it really comes alive.
Yeah, look, the folks really need to check it out for sure. So check out Beyond from Autograph. That'll be out November 18th from Frontiers Music. Thank you so much, Simon, for joining us today. Really appreciate it, catching up and everything. I love the new album. I love the artwork on it. It's definitely screams Autograph. It all fits perfectly, man. And you're a great fit for these guys, man. You bring it all.
I really appreciate everything you're saying, Robert, and feel free to reach out at any time, please.
All right, great. And if you folks out there want to know more about us, you have comments or questions, please feel free to email us at talkingaboutrock@gmail.com. You can like us and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And for this interview, it'll be dropping soon on YouTube. It'll also be streaming on all the services very soon. Simon, again, thanks for being with us today, man.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yep. Have a good day.